Billionaire targeted for funding campus and anti-ICE protests. Guys, a lot of them do that. A lot of them do that. Like a lot of them like feel like super guilty, have like imposter syndrome. So what they do is they go ahead and start funding, the things that make them feel good, right? Instead of the actual logical things that are helping Americans. They got to go against it, right? They just want to feel good, so they, donate money to causes specifically for tax write-offs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what they do here, guys. But let's go ahead and see which billionaire we're talking about today, because there are definitely a couple of them that we can name here, right? But anyway, let's jump into it. It's a suggestion via a channel member.
Well, the protests there in Southern California have the Trump administration and Republican lawmakers seeking an investigation into where protest organizers are getting their funding. And not just the ongoing anti-ICE protests, but also the pro-Palestine demonstrations that took place on college campuses over the past few years. Correspondent Rich McHugh is live to try and connect the dots here. So, Rich, what have you learned?
Who do we have?
Hi, Nicole. Well, first of all, this is really complicated. The big question for everybody as these protests have unfolded in Los Angeles and across the country was who's funding them and who's behind all this. Now we know that the head of the FBI or the FBI,
there could be like three big ones,
have somebody in their crosshairs. So we took a look at this person. Okay. This is an American businessman, a former billionaire, living in
Neville. That's Neville Singham. He sold the company ThoughtWorks for about $785 million. Genius company, right? Smart guy, super, absolutely. But again, yeah, as expected, it was going to be one of the three people who I have in my mental crosshairs. Let's say. The problem is with this guy here, he definitely does not live in the United States of America any longer. I think for the most part, I think he lives somewhere in Asia. He may be potentially heavily tied to the CCP, specifically in Beijing, Xi Jinping, etc. And if you guys know anything about that specific region, they are in fact adversaries of ours. They know they're not going to come straight head first at us, so they're going to keep dropping like little, crumbs, basically, right? And these crumbs are basically country destroyers consistently. And if he himself is the one that is when funding these most recent protests, let's say, then that's not a good thing, guys. So I understand that he's probably going to be coming up for some type of congressional meeting. He's going to have to speak. He's going to have to come here and have a conversation with us now, guys, because China knows that they're going to have to deliver some type of propaganda to us, guys. They're going to continue funding all these niche subgroups, these niche subgroup type ideologies, right, that people are learning on TikTok, a Chinese company, right? So understand what's happening here, guys. They're molding our future generation. If you wondered why specifically, Gen Z basically seems so terrible, it's because they're growing up in this day and age of nothing but like anti-American, unpatriotic, right? TikTok and social media and things like that. But let's go and continue the video, guys.
Look at this person. This is an American businessman, a former billionaire, living in Shanghai at the moment. And according to the House Oversight Committee, they tell News Nation, he will be called to testify about his ties to the CCP, funding of nonprofits, anti-Israel groups, protests on college campuses, and at least one of the groups connected to these Los Angeles protests. His name is Neville Roy Singham. He's an American who sold his company in 2017 for close to $1 billion.
Yeah,
so let me
100% expected that.
Further. Reports show that he funded groups like the People's Forum, that's based in New York City, to the tune of millions.
Okay.
People's Forum has deep personnel overlap with the Party of Socialism and Liberation, known as the PSL.
Really?
It's a communist political party that has organized large-scale anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles. Now, Alex Goldenberg with the Network Contagion Research Institute has been unpacking Singham's influence and funding for 2 years. Here he is.
He has a footprint in India, South Africa,
a large one,
London,
in India.
And is quite active in the United States, funding a network of nonprofit organizations to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. And he's not just
nothing for him.
Activism. What we find is he's funding and exporting an authoritarian aligned ideology under the banner of like American nonprofit legitimacy.
Now, just last month, Senator Grassley sounded the alarm on Singham and the People's Forum nonprofit, pointing to foreign influence from Singham and the CCP. Last year, then Senator Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham asked the IRS to revoke tax-exempt status for the People's Forum, the New York nonprofit financed by Singham. Quote, These groups have engaged in violent anti-Semitic riots in many cities across the United States. So to summarize this, you have China, you have violent.
Guys, that's actually a fair statement, but then I think if you do this, which I don't think that this is going to work, right? But if this goes through, then a lot of churches are going to get hit with this. Okay, I'm just going to be honest here. A lot of churches are going to get hit with the same exact type of thing, But either way,
riots in many cities across the United States. So to summarize this, you have China, you have violent anti-Israel protests and anti-ICE protests. The nexus of this is this network funded by this person Singham. That's what they're alleging.
All right.
And what I mean by that is like a lot of like cult-ish type of churches, guys. All right.
Is this network funded by this person Singham? That's what they're alleging.
All right. So, Rich, the big question here, why? What is the goal?
Well, if you talk to people like Alex, who we're about to hear from, he says, look, they're trying to co-opt. People have legitimate concerns about
Absolutely.
these deportations and
Right.
these
That's
ICE
fine.
raids.
Yeah.
But this organization, this network is trying to co-opt
Their
them
emotions
to further
and
their agenda.
fears.
Take a listen.
Yeah.
Doesn't just promote anti-American sentiment, but openly supports authoritarian regimes.
Yeah.
Repeatedly amplifies voices that glorify terrorism and cause for violent revolutions, such as the globalization of the Intifada. So what is being built here is not a protest movement. I really view it as infrastructure for a deeply un-American campaign to destabilize the country from within.
Yep. I back that statement completely because that's my exact theory, and that's kind of what I think of when I do see things specifically coming from China. Not against the people. Again, guys, I want to go ahead and separate this because some people seem not to understand my statements when I say them. The people, guys, generally in every single country that I've visited over 140 different countries, guys, and the countries that I've all visited, the people are people, bro. The governments are normally the problems in every single one of the nations that I've encountered. The people are not. They're just trying to live like us, guys. That's it. They're just trying to make it through the day and take care of their family and do the best they possibly can for their bloodline. That's basically what everyone does, right? But the problem is with China, specifically Beijing, the CCP specifically, there's a lot of propaganda that comes out of there, guys. And generally, whenever you do see any type of close ties, specifically with the CCP, you start to realize immediately, it's very anti-American. Like everything that's being funded specifically is very anti the concept of the United States of America. It's more so, hey, you see this niche subgroup that's over there? Let's go ahead and prop them up. But then you look deeply into that niche subgroup and you start to realize that it is in fact an authoritarian type of scenario that you're trying to prop. Why are you doing that? Like what are you getting from that? Oh, the destruction of the United States of America. Because you can't beat us 1-to-1. You're going to have to absolutely start planting seeds and breadcrumbs within the nation. You're going to have to do that. And then what are you going to do? You're going to find the weakest subgroup in the United States of America. Basically, they're going to be, the 20s, the 20s to early 30s, right? Because they're just not there mentally. Let's say, to understand any type of geopolitics at all. So they lead by emotions rather than literal logic. And then by the time that specific subgroup turns about 35 to 40 to 45, etc., they then start to look kind of inward, let's say. But you're specifically targeting that group, right? The emotional, the super hyper emotional ones. And that's what they're doing. And that's winning because, listen, we're in a time where everyone hates the concept of masculinity, actual masculinity, and promotes the concept of basically, softer, more gentler type of society. All right. Well, the rest of the world is going to walk right over us, guys. Right. But all right.
Now, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna says she has asked him to testify. If he refuses, he'll be subpoenaed. If he ignores that, he will be referred to the DOJ for prosecution. So, Nicole, this is a name from the experts we're talking to you're about to hear a lot more of in the coming days and weeks.
All right. We know you're following it all. Rich McHugh, thank you.
Oh, guys, I could have just stopped it there. All right. So yeah, guys, that's it. There are a couple of them that are sitting here funding a good amount of these organizations, and fortunately, some of them have websites, and they have no problem sharing the fact that all of these organizations are funding specifically the No Kings protest. Look into some of those companies, guys, and look at some of the CEOs and CFOs. You'll start to realize that there's kind of a trend here, right? right? Make sure you look at indivisible. But all right. Listen, guys, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.